My name is Prashanto Kochavara. I'm the Director of Product at Trilio, and I'm super excited to be here talking about data protection and data management for a cloud-native environment. So before diving into why data protection, or as to what does our solution offer, I'm going to talk about the business case or the reason why we need data protection in a cloud-native or a Kubernetes-based environment. So looking at this slide, we are showing the different eras of IT data centers and the transformations that they have gone through. Now, right off the bat, what we can visualize and we can see is that the application architecture in a cloud native environment versus the application architecture in a bare metal and a virtualization environment is very different. In the bare metal and the virtualization era, we had applications which were comprised of tightly integrated components which were working within the realm or within the boundaries of an operating system. Now, these apps were, you could scale them, but they were not like dynamically scalable as applications in a Kubernetes environment. And all the components that make up the application are kind of siloed and working together, tightly coupled. Now, when we look at a cloud native environment, the application is completely broken down into independent microservices. All these microservices work together to comprise of the application, but at the same time, each of these microservices has its own identity. It can live by itself. It's loosely coupled to the other components, and hence, as a result, from a management perspective or from a data protection perspective, all the microservices, along with the data volumes that may be attached to it and its metadata, need to be captured and need to be protected properly so as to move your applications around or to do a successful backup and restore operation. And obviously, because this is a new architecture or applications function in a different way, a newer approach or a newer technology is required to support such kind of applications. Now let's talk about Trilio Vault for Kubernetes for a bit. At the top level, it's an application-centric product. What we mean by application-centric is that we protect the data, metadata, and any other Kubernetes objects associated with an application itself. Now, there are multiple ways applications can be deployed within a Kubernetes environment. You have Helm charts, you have operators, you have labels, or you may have like a mapping between namespaces and your applications directly. So Trilio Vault provides the capability to protect your applications regardless of how you've deployed them. So we support, backing up and protecting help charts directly, operators, labels, and if you want to protect your namespaces, you can do that as well. The product is completely built native to Kubernetes and OpenShift. What we mean by that is that any Kubernetes environment or any Kubernetes distribution that is built and certified with upstream Kubernetes, Trilio Vault will work automatically on top of that. And because we are native to Kubernetes and certified for upstream, we work in any distributions, whether it's OpenShift, EKS, AKS, GKE, Rancher, Tansus, you name it. As long as it's certified, we'll work on it. The other piece of the solution is that we have packaged the product as an operator and fully functional with custom resource definitions. So the entire product can be managed directly via kubectl without having to learn any new CLI or any new API to manage it. Now let's talk about the infrastructure compatibility and the certifications behind the product. Now, because Kubernetes deals with application development and application delivery and focuses a lot on that, there are a lot of abstractions provided by a Kubernetes cluster. So what Trilio does is it leverages those abstractions like CSI to communicate with storage. And as long as there is a CSI driver available to talk to storage, Trilio Vault will automatically be compatible with the underlying infrastructure. Now, this aspect, coupled with the fact that we are Kubernetes native, Trilio Vault can be run in any environment without any issues successfully, whether it's private cloud, public cloud, any of those environments will be supported. From a target perspective or a storage target perspective, that is where we store your backups. Uh, Customers have the choice of using NFS, file-based storage, or S3. So depending upon if you have file servers available locally or in the cloud, you can use that. Or if you're looking for scalable object storage, you can use that as well. Now, in addition to all these great features, what we've also done is we have uh, passed the product through rigorous certifications. We've gone through certifications from Red Hat and IBM. And these certifications basically ensured that the product is built in a very secure fashion. We are using the best practices in terms of what a Kubernetes environments provides. And basically, we are putting our best foot forward to provide customers an ease of mind and just taking away all the complexities and the trust issues around security that may be lingering in a Kubernetes environment. Along with that, there is a lot of enterprise class level features that we provide. In order to take application consistent backups, you have features like hooks. We provide additional capabilities like restore transforms and exclusions, which allow you to massage your backup before you restore it into a target environment. Similarly, you have policies to take, schedule backups, to retain them from a compliance perspective, and all of this happens in a very data efficient manner. What we mean by data efficient is that we have, internal deduplication that we use across our backup images. So as a result, the amount of data that is transferred into a target environment or the amount of data that is stored in the target environment is very little. Um, we also provide out-of-the-box integration into de facto monitoring tools like Prometheus and Grafana. There are about 10 dashboards that are also provided with the product directly on the Grafana project page that customers can download and start using right after they install the product. We also have a management console. So, everything is fully operational via kubectl, but we also have a management console that provides simple click-driven interfaces and workflows to support application protection or application migration and so on. The same management console also provides application discovery. If in a Kubernetes environment, the term application is very loosely defined. So anything and everything becomes an application. So we provide that discovery mechanism in a very intricate fashion, which makes it very easy for the end user to understand what are the apps running and protect them appropriately as well. And finally, we also have monitoring integrated into the product. So if you have different backups, policy-based backups, on-demand backups, and restores happening across your environment, you can visualize all of that through the management console and look at the different logs and different steps that the product is taking to protect your applications and data. Now, from a go-to-market perspective, there are a lot of demonstrations and live environments that are available directly on our website, which is trilio.io. And customers can get jump started with the product, get a very good understanding of how it operates without really having to download a single piece of code or single piece of software onto their local setups. From a licensing perspective, we follow a freemium model. So as part of the freemium model, you have a 30-day free trial, which is available for 30 days, unlimited number of nodes, no restrictions in terms of features or anything else. Similarly, there is a basic edition, which is also free. It's free for an unlimited amount of time for up to 10 worker nodes. And then finally, we have an enterprise edition, which comes with premium support and all the bells and whistles of success manager to make sure that you're using the product to its best capabilities. Now, because we are able to capture an application properly, that is, protect all the data, metadata, any of the Kubernetes resources associated with it, and because we're able to capture it and move it across different Kubernetes environments, there are different or 4 different use cases that are enabled as part of Trilio Vault. So the first one is point-in-time backup and recovery. So let's say you accidentally delete a namespace or you have data corruption kind of issues. You can use Trilio Vault to restore your data and your application to a previous point in time very easily. Similarly, if you lose an entire environment or an entire cluster, you can use your backups to recreate your environment and get up and running via disaster recovery workflows as well. There may be a need where you would want to go capture your production landscape and take a copy of that production landscape and start doing test and development activities on it. So you can use Twilio Vault to do that as well. And then finally, today we live in a hybrid world, right? We have on-prem deployments, we have public cloud deployments, and it becomes paramount to be able to move your applications between these different environments. Whether it's for performance reasons, scale reasons, cost reasons, compliance reasons, whatever it may be. Migration becomes a big use case, which is fulfilled by Twilio Vault. Now, what we'll do is we'll do a quick demo of how Trilio Vault functions and what are the different gauges and different pieces that are provided with the product, which make it easy to manage. So first, we'll look at Trilio Vault and an OpenShift integration. We'll also cover the Trilio Vault management console. We have a WordPress application. We will do a migration between different Kubernetes distributions. So we have a OpenShift cluster, a Rancher cluster. Both are running in AWS at the moment, and they're using the AWS CSI driver. On the Rancher environment, I believe it's running 1.18, and on the OpenShift, it's 1.19. And all the backups and data is being stored in an S3 target. So in the interest of time, we may not be able to get through a full backup and restore operation, but we have other previously done backups that we might be able to restore to get through with the demo in time. So with that, I will start sharing my browser. And Ron, I'm assuming everyone can see my screen still?
I can see it, and I will check the Q&A, but I'm assuming everyone else can as well.
Okay, great. So what you see first is the Rancher cluster. This is a cluster that we will be restoring the application into. Right now, we are looking at WordPress restore. We see that there are no pods or anything that are created in this namespace currently. The next environment is the OpenShift environment. This is where we will be capturing the WordPress application from. And just to ensure that we have WordPress running, we see the 2 pods that make up the application. There are a few different services that are part of the application itself. And then there are persistent volume claims associated to those pods, and they're using the EBS-SC storage class, which is running the EBS CSI driver. So that's the WordPress application running within OpenShift. The application looks somewhat like this. There was a post that we created yesterday around some use cases, which we copied directly from our documentation website. Now, first, let's look at the Trilio Vault integration for OpenShift. So first, we'll go to Operator Hub. Operator Hub is basically the marketplace for OpenShift, and Trilio is directly available in that marketplace. It takes about 3 to 4 clicks at most to deploy the overall application. We already have this installed in this environment, so we'll take a look at it over here. As mentioned earlier, we have packaged or we have constructed the application fully on custom resource definitions in terms of where you want to store the backup, what you define to be protected as part of the backup, to actually perform the backup operation, restore operation, and obviously additional items like hooks, policies, and so on. Customers have the ability to go through individual tabs, create create different objects. So for example, they have a form-based approach to build out a target. You can either have an NFS, an object store, S3 based bucket as mentioned earlier. And obviously you also have the capability of looking at it via a YAML view and filling it out in a YAML specification, looking at the help section on the right. So overall, that kind of a workflow is provided for each and every Trilio object, and the overall product can fully and end-to-end be managed from the OpenShift console itself. Now, what we've done, I'm going to go to a Trilio Vault, or sorry, the OpenShift Trilio Vault Management Console. This is where we have the Trilio Vault UI up and running. And what we'll do over here first, we'll initiate a backup. So to initiate a backup, what we do is we select the namespace in the left panel, which is the navigation panel. And because it's a namespace backup, we are not going to be selecting any objects from the tooling, labels, objects, or backup plans view, which is how we are showing different backups that are different objects or different applications that can be selected by the end user. So all we'll do over here is we'll select one of the backup plans that's already available. We can just call this OCP backup 9, and we can save this. Once you click on save, it starts the backup operation. As mentioned, we provide some level of monitoring within our UI itself. So you can take a look at one of the backups that's happening, see the status logs in terms of the different steps that are being taken. You can look at the backup plan summary, the metadata summary. Right now it's not generated yet, but as the backup proceeds, you will see the metadata being populated as well. To give you an idea of how the metadata looks, we'll look at one of these backups which was done. The metadata summary shows all the different objects that were captured as part of the backup. You can dive into a much more broader screen, which shows you all the different objects that were collected as well. Now, what we'll do is we'll go back, or we'll go to our Rancher cluster, and we'll just provide our kubeconfig file to log into it. And in the WordPress restore, as mentioned earlier, we have nothing available. And in order to do a restore, what we'll do is we'll go to the targets. We have a feature known as a target browser. And then from within the target itself, we can basically pick a backup plan and a backup, and decide which one we want to restore. So for example, I'll just be restoring this one. I'll call this a restore Angel Beat, and we'll restore it into the WordPress restore namespace, and we'll select this flag to ensure that it doesn't overwrite any of the important objects that may already be present in the cluster. Obviously, there's nothing in the namespace, but to avoid overwriting anything in the cluster, we'll use that. So now the restore has started, and similar to the backup operation, we can take a look at the restore which has started, and the validation is in progress. You can look at the restore summary. Obviously, the metadata will show you the objects which are being restored as well. So looking at this, we'll give it a couple of minutes, but the backup and the restore operation should complete in due time. As we see, the snapshots operations have completed. Now we are uploading it, and after the upload, generally the backup is complete. So that kind of concludes our demo, and we'll move back into my final slide, which is the call to action, which For those of you interested on the call, you can definitely go to Trilio.io right now, see additional demos of how the product functions, around how we are able to capture end-to-end applications or namespaces. You can try that directly from the website, and then you can download a free trial or a basic edition within your Kubernetes cluster today and start protecting it end to end. So with that, I thank you for your time and patience.